Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Josten Park. It's hard to imagine just 4 years ago, you could barely see my head because I would be surrounded by blackberry bushes. This entire property was covered in invasive plants. And we're so happy to have this as one of our newest neighborhood parks in the city of Kirkland. And we're so very, very happy to have it named after the Josten family. And we're so happy that so many of the Josten family are here today. How many of you are with the Josten family? Look at all these folks. Isn't that great? And how many, and I know a lot of the Josten clan have never been to this site as a park before, but how many other people have never been here before? Yes, it's kind of an unexpected park and hard to find. My name is Michael Kogel. I'm the Deputy Director for Parks and Community Services, and very happy to be able to introduce some of our elected officials and appointed officials here before we get started. We got several members of our City Council here today, and I'd like to introduce them to you. We have our Deputy Mayor, Jay Arnold. We have City Council Member Dave Asher. We have City Council Member Toby Nixon. We have City Council Member John Pascal. And did I miss? I think those are the council members that are here today. I would also like to introduce, we have a couple of our park board members here today. I'd like to introduce Vice Chair Rosalie Wessels in the back. Rosalie will be speaking here momentarily. And also our newest park board member, Joe Andrews. So what we would like to do is begin by, I'll ask Rosalie to come up and say some opening remarks.
Hello, I am Rosalie Wessels of the Kirkland Park Board. So eating it, okay. And on behalf of the Park Board, I would like to welcome you all here today as we celebrate this wonderful park in our community. 4 years ago, the city was approached by neighbors of this open space with the idea to convert this overgrown, underappreciated area into a community asset that would provide a play and gathering space in this neighborhood. The first workers on this site were goats. They were brought in to eat the prickly blackberry brambles and other invasive plants in order to allow the humans access to the roots so they could dig them out. Neighborhood volunteers, under the guidance of the Green Kirkland Partnership Program, worked for months to dig out those roots and begin restoration of this site by planting hundreds of native plants. What you see here today is a demonstration of the commitment and dedication Kirkland residents have to their parks and open spaces. Once the area was cleared, it was time to decide what park features the community would want here. And do you know how that was decided? A group of local Girl Scouts went door to door just to solicit ideas, and the results of their efforts are what you see here today. As for naming the park board solicited input from the community as well. We received lots of ideas, but Josten Park was chosen both to recognize the history of the area and to honor the contributions of the Josten family to Juanita and to Kirkland. The City of Kirkland's goal is to create a park space within a quarter mile or about a 10-minute walk of every Kirkland household. We are well on our way to achieving that goal because of the advocacy, effort, and determination of the neighbors of Josten Park. Thank you to the neighborhood, thank you to the volunteers, thank you to the Kirkland Parks Department, and thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Rosalie. And we did get tremendous amount of support from the neighborhood. I do want to introduce Ken Albinger from the Winnetka Neighborhoods Association here today as well. Thank you, Ken. Rosalie mentioned the Girl Scouts that went door to door soliciting ideas. Do we have any of those Girl Scouts here today that participated in that endeavor? We did have another group of Scouts here this morning. They were here for a couple of hours pulling weeds and doing some of our Green Kirkland restoration activities. So I think we have a couple in the back there. So thank you, young ladies, for doing that. We appreciate it very much. The Green Kirkland Partnership is something that's very important to our community. It's a way for us to engage the passion and energy of our community to restore native forests and habitat areas and reinvigorate them for not only for wildlife but also for us to learn about the important aspects of the urban forest to our Kirkland community. And here to talk more about the Green Kirkland Partnership and do some volunteer recognition is our supervisor of the Green Kirkland Partnership Program, Sharon Rodman.
Thank you all for being here. This park is just a perfect example of the kind of work that the Green Kirkland Partnership does. And what we do is we work in parks throughout the city and we restore the natural areas using the neighborhood volunteers. And so far we're up to 81 acres of restoration, including this wonderful Josten Park. And as has been explained earlier today, this area was just dense blackberry above our heads 4 years ago. The goats came in, they ate down the blackberry canes. It was the volunteers that came in and dug out those blackberry roots. And if you want to see some before and after photos, there's a poster that's on the table. And go and take a look at the height of the blackberries, the before pictures. There's a goat picture. There's another picture of just showing the bare ground here when all the blackberry roots were dug out. Wood chips came in. And then volunteers, what we've had over 224 volunteers have worked here, and they've contributed almost 1,500 hours of work to make this park look what it is. And we've worked in partnership because our group is all about partnering. So we partnered with the neighbors. We've also partnered with park maintenance, who put in this lovely lawn area and place for people to roam and play. And they also installed the playground and put in the path that goes around. So there's been a lot of different contributors to make this park look as it is today. And I have to single out our park steward. We have a trained and authorized park steward here, Bonnie Harpel. You can come up here, please. Bonnie lives right here in the neighborhood, and she, together with another park steward who can't be here today, Helen Rasmussen, they have been holding volunteer events here since 2013. As Michael mentioned this morning, they had a volunteer event with the Daisy Scouts, 14 Daisy Scouts, weeding the natural area. They've planted, how many plants have gone in?
Hundreds.
I've got 718 on my list. So that's all a lot of work. And so I think a big round of applause for Bonnie and all her work. Bonnie and Helen, they recruit their neighbors to come and help. And so Rosalie, if you can come up here, the city has a recognition and appreciation for Bonnie.
Oh, no. Just
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. So that's an appreciation certificate for Bonnie for all her work that she's done. And we also have one that we'll be giving to our other park steward, Helen. And they will be continuing the work here, because once an area is in restoration, the natural area is in restoration, it's always in restoration. They'll always be weeding, they'll always be caring for the young plants, and so they're in it for the long term. And so it's just a lovely partnership with the neighborhood and the park. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Sharon. So the Josten family, this is a kind of a reunion for you, right? Yes? So we hope this will become an annual reunion for the family, and next year you can do a restoration work party here, work with Sharon, pull weeds and do some planting for a couple of hours, and then go party. I invite you to do that. So as Rosalie mentioned, once we began to develop this 1 acre or so piece of property into a park, we needed to come up with a name. A lot of our open space parcels just have a number attached to them. We refer to this as the North Juanita Open Space. If you look at the picture of the parcel itself, it kind of looks like an Egyptian pharaoh head. And so we kind of, as staff, we kind of refer to it as Pharaoh Head Park. But not a lot of Egyptians settled in Kirkland to my knowledge, so we didn't feel like that was a good permanent name for the site. So we did ask the community for naming suggestions, and we received, I don't know, over 24 different ideas for names. The development around here was the Cavalier development, and some folks wanted us to name it after that. No, one idea that did pique our interest was a lot of the young children that wanted to advocate for the city to develop this site referred to it as Brambley Park because of the blackberries. Brambley Park, that had a lot of kind of intrigue to it. Then we received a letter from the Kirkland Heritage Society, and I'd like to introduce Louita here from the Kirkland Heritage Society, Louita Hawkinson. And in the program, we've reproduced the letter that Louita sent the park board. And Louita is a great resource for the Kirkland community. Really, as a volunteer, researches and celebrates our history in a way like no other. And it was that letter, and I invite you, if you're not familiar with the history of the Josten family, to read it. Really seemed to be the perfect way to honor this site, to honor the family, and to celebrate Kirkland's history. So we're very happy that the Josten clan is here today, and I'd like to invite Jeffrey Highland and Elaine Josten McKenna up here, please.
Thanks, everyone. I'm a great-grandson, right, of Ole and Marit Josten. And on behalf of our family, we have 5 generations of Jostens here today, and that's all there is. There's not a 6th generation yet, so we're hopeful for that. On behalf of the family, I just want to say how grateful we are to the City of Kirkland, to the City Council, to the Park Department for honoring our family by putting our family name on this park. We were surprised by this when we heard about it, but it's a nice recognition, we think, of for the city to remember its pioneer families, and it's also nice for a community like Kirkland to do its best to preserve and honor the community heritage. And so it's really nice for our family, but we also think nice for the history of Kirkland and those folks who care about preserving that history. Our family is grateful to the Green Kirkland Partnership. As I've researched this park and talked with people in the city, clearly they're very proud of the volunteers that they have who do the work to maintain these parks. And I think it's not a bad idea for the Jostens to find some time to come down and pick a few weeds, and then I'm not sure how the partying will go. We're rather sedate Norwegians, so I also want to thank Loida. I had the opportunity to visit with her in the archives where she spends a couple of days a week. It's a volunteer effort on her part. The Heritage Society did advocate for this name on this park, and we're grateful to her and the folks who support her. We hope that in rain or sunshine, this park is enjoyed by those who live in the vicinity, and that it brings them a great deal of pleasure. Let me say something about the Josten homesteaders. Ole and Marit Josten homesteaded on this property and to the west along 132nd in 1882. They immigrated from Norway a decade or so earlier. They were married in Chicago, lived a bit in southern Minnesota, and then ultimately homesteaded here in 1882. They lived on this property, raised their 6 children, 3 boys and 3 girls here. They were active, good community citizens. And they lived on this property until their deaths in 1913 and 1914. We are happy today to have one of their grandchildren with us. Elaine Josten McKenna is the youngest of their grandchildren. She's now the oldest of our family members, the senior member in our family. And we thought it would be nice if she could say just a few words about her memories of growing up here. And we're honored that you're with us. Elaine lives in Spokane and was brought over by her family. So can you come up? Do you want to sit or do you want to stand? Okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I have this attachment I have to bring with me.
You have to hold this.
All
There
right.
you go.
Okay. My grandfather and grandmother, I never knew them, of course, but they were very community-minded. And grandfather, I was told, when they settled their homestead, he was so impressed with the tall timber in this area. There were beautiful trees, and he grieved to see them cut down. So, they all had a very great love of nature. And I must say that they would all be so proud right now of this park, and not only this park, but all of Juanita. You know, I grieved when I came over because I thought everything was gone that I grew up with. It didn't turn out to be that way. It's just beautiful, and I'm so impressed with all the work that Kirkland has done, not just here, but the whole area. So thank you. And I'm sorry I'm not living in Kirkland anymore, but my heart's here. So God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. If you could stay here just for a moment, we have
Sure.
something we would like to present to you, Elaine.
Okay.
So I'm inviting Deputy Mayor Jay Arnold up here, and when the City Council names a city property, they pass a resolution at a City Council meeting formally proclaiming the naming of a park facility. And so we have to present to you a framed replicate of that resolution.
Lovely.
Resolution number 5416, officially naming the North Juanita Open Space as Josten Park.
This is a great honor. Great
Congratulations.
honor. Thank you so much.
All the things we do as a city, parks are the things that last forever, and it's an honor. So, I'm Jay Arnold. I have the privilege of serving as deputy mayor, being selected by my colleagues. I just wanted to say of all the things that we do as a city council, of all the things we do to keep Kirkland special, parks are the things that last forever. So on behalf of Mayor Wallen and the whole city council, it's our honor to present you with this recognition signed by the mayor on the 1st of September 2015,
Yes.
naming this Josten Park.
I am so honored. We are so honored. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Elaine, hopefully it has not been raining as much in Spokane as we've had here. It has. Especially so recently, that's for sure. All right. So, last thing to do is a ribbon cutting. And I have a big pair of scissors. And I also have a red ribbon. And I also have a container with a bunch of smaller scissors for the kids and anybody else that would like to participate. What we'd really like to do, thank you, Jay, is to have, we're going to string a ribbon up here, and we're going to have everybody face that way. Yes, that's it.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, is everybody ready? On the count of 3. On the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yay!